You're probably sitting there wondering if there's a shaker that will actually sit inside your CO incubator without taking up half the space, run quietly while you're writing up results, and won't need a whole day of tinkering before you can trust it to keep cultures mixed evenly. That's the exact dilemma most lab managers face. You need a piece of equipment that simply works, doesn't become a hidden cost, and fits into an already cramped workflow. The temptation is to go for the biggest, flashiest model on the shelf, but the reality is you'll end up paying for a feature you'll never use, or worse, you'll have a shaker that won't fit inside your incubator, and you'll have to redesign your whole setup. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Benchmark Scientific Orbi-Shaker BT4000 is marketed specifically for CO incubators, so the first thing I looked at was the physical envelope. At 19 millimeters, 0.75 inches, orbital radius, it offers a gentle, wide sweep that's just enough to keep agar plates or staining trays moving without sloshing liquid out of the wells. The platform itself holds about a kilogram of load, which translates to roughly 10 standard 100 millimeters petri dishes or a few small Erlenmeyer flasks. That size is a sweet spot for most microbiology or cell culture labs that need to shake multiple plates at once but don't have the floor space for a benchtop orbital shaker. Because the shaker is designed to slip into the incubator's interior, you can leave it running at 37°C without worrying about external heat sources or stray cables. From a day-to-day perspective, the remote control module is where the convenience factor really shows up. The digital keypad lets you dial in speed and time without stepping out of the incubator, and the LED readout is bright enough to see through the incubator's glass door, but not so bright that it distracts you during a microscope session. I tested the timer by setting it for 30 minutes while the incubator was full of plates. When the cycle finished, the remote beeped and the speed display dropped to 0, confirming the timer cut power cleanly. That kind of hands-off operation is a small thing, but it saves a lot of foot traffic in a busy lab where you're already juggling autoclave cycles and cell culture hood usage. One practical strength that's easy to overlook is the black rubber mat that comes with the unit. It's not just an aesthetic choice. It actually prevents the platform from sliding around when you're loading or unloading dishes. In a humid incubator environment, that mat stays grippy, which means you won't have to fight a plate that's trying to roll off the edge when you pull the remote up. I also noticed that the mat dampens vibration transmission to the incubator walls, so the shaker runs quietly about a whisper compared with the low rattle you get from larger, more industrial models. For labs that share space with sensitive equipment like spectrophotometers, that reduced noise can be a real win. On the flip side, there are a couple of hidden trade-offs. First, the BT4000 only accepts a 115V US plug, which means if your lab runs on a standard 120V line, you're fine. But any international setting will need a transformer or a different model. That's a simple fix, but it adds a small procurement step that some buyers overlook. Second, the maximum load is limited to 1 kilogram. So if you ever need to shake larger culture flasks, say 250 milliliters or bigger, you'll have to run a second shaker or look for a benchtop unit with a higher capacity. The remote module also lacks a USB or network interface, so you can't integrate it into a lab automation script. Everything still has to be set manually. If you're looking for a fully networked system that logs every shaking cycle, you'll have to go up the price ladder. Who should buy this? In my view, it's a perfect fit for academic labs, small biotech startups, and any facility that already owns a CO incubator and needs to add orbital motion without expanding its footprint. It's also a good match for teaching labs where you want a reliable, low-maintenance shaker that students can operate with minimal training. If you run a high-throughput screening facility where you're processing dozens of plates per day, you'll probably need a larger capacity shaker or a carousel system, so the BT4000 would feel underpowered. Likewise, if you need remote logging for compliance documentation, you'll want a model that can push data to a server, something this unit doesn't do. Looking at value beyond the headline specs, the real money saver is the fact that the shaker fits inside the incubator, meaning you don't have to purchase a separate heated orbital platform. That eliminates the cost of an extra incubator shelf or a custom rig, and you also save on lab bench space. The remote control eliminates the need for a dedicated external power supply, which can be a hidden expense when you factor in cable management and compliance with safety standards. And because the motion is